On the tiny screen, Richard Dean Anderson has become an indelible symbol, a name that is connected with brilliance, inventiveness, and a hero who never needed weapons. He embodied a renowned figure that moved millions of people all over the globe with his depiction as Angus MacGyver. Was his life, however, really a smooth path to success? I'm referring to fairy tales, falsehoods, and rumors. Evilness, cliched behavior, glowing eyes, that kind of stuff. Beneath the noble exterior is a guy who has experienced hardships, losses, and difficult choices. Few people can comprehend the sacrifices that go into each legendary MacGyver or Stargate SG-1 episode. His body and psyche are both marked by the years he spent working nonstop on set, physical wounds, and the pressure of the limelight. Once, in the midst of his career's blinding brilliance, Richard Dean Anderson found himself torn between staying at the top of his game and sacrificing all for a life dedicated to his family's devotion. He went with the latter option, which many people would not dare do. What made a celebrity like him, at the pinnacle of his fame, decide to leave Hollywood and live a more straightforward life? Come along as we explore Richard Dean Anderson's emotional and dramatic journey, which is a tribute to family, sacrifice, and devotion, in addition to being the narrative of a television icon. A storyline that will show you him as a fantastic human being in addition to a gifted performer. Richard Dean Anderson was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota on January 23, 1950, and was raised in a household steeped in conventional values. His mother, Jocelyn Ray Carter, was a talented artist who had a love for painting and sculpting, and his father, Stuart J. Anderson, was a teacher. Richard, who has a Scandinavian and Irish ancestry, received his mother's inventiveness and sensitivity in addition to his father's discipline. Richard's intense passion for sports, especially hockey, shaped his early years. He practiced relentlessly on the ice for many hours with the hopes of becoming a professional athlete and becoming the best in his sport. But destiny had different ideas for the little child. That desire was dashed when he suffered 2 serious injuries as a teenager. After breaking both of his arms in a matter of weeks, Richard was forced to face the unpleasant truth that hockey was no longer a realistic career option for him. This life-altering setback created a new opportunity, despite the agony. Richard focused on theater and the arts with an unwavering energy. To further follow his developing enthusiasm, he first enrolled at St. Cloud State University before transferring to Ohio University. He started developing his acting abilities there, a fresh passion that would light the way for his future achievements. Richard set his eyes on greater goals after graduation. In search of better prospects in the City of Angels, he relocated to Los Angeles from the high-pressure setting of New York. In order to support himself, he performed on the streets and in cabaret acts reminiscent of the Renaissance. He even had a job at Marineland, where he had to do the odd job of holding fish in his mouth to make whales jump. In addition to being difficult, these formative years taught him patience and inner strength. After years of balancing part-time work and little acting gigs, Richard had his first significant breakthrough. He was cast as Dr. Jeff Weber on General Hospital. This part provided a springboard to television viewers, even if it wasn't the apex of his career. He soon became well known on the small screen because to his excellent looks, emotionally compelling performances, and innate ability to inhabit a character. However, Richard didn't really become well known until 1985, when he played Angus MacGyver in the popular TV show MacGyver. In the 1980s and 1990s, MacGyver became more than simply a television program. It was a cultural phenomenon. In his role as Angus MacGyver, Richard's brilliance and unmatched inventiveness revolutionized the idea of a television hero. Compared to other action figures of the time, Richard's representation of MacGyver was unique. In contrast to conventional action heroes, MacGyver chose to use intelligence, empathy, and creativity to solve issues rather than firearms and violence. His ingenuity, whether it was using a paperclip to crack a lock or turning a pencil into an essential tool, astounded viewers with every episode. In addition to his deft problem-solving, Richard gave the role a genuineness and relatability that spectators found quite appealing. In addition to its creative situations, MacGyver's popularity lay in its potent message. As long as you maintain composure and exercise clear thinking, there is always a solution in life. This philosophy contributed to the show's enormous success, both domestically and internationally, making it a worldwide phenomenon. For Richard, playing a compelling character was not the only factor in MacGyver's popularity. He transformed MacGyver from a fictitious hero into a representation of compassion and inventiveness. Because of his innate playing style and commitment to the part, MacGyver became more than just a television hero. He became a real influence in daily life. Richard was nominated for many awards for his performance as Angus MacGyver, including the People's Choice Award for Favorite Male TV Performer. His status as a cherished character in millions of homes throughout the globe was solidified by this position. Many questioned if Richard could escape the enormous shadow of such a legendary character when MacGyver ended in 1992. However, a few years later, he once again astounded viewers by playing Colonel Jack O'Neill in the science fiction series Stargate SG-1. In Stargate SG-1, Jack O'Neill stood for strength, loyalty, and leadership, while MacGyver symbolized intelligence and peace. Richard gave the role a great deal of emotional depth in addition to charm and comedy. Thanks to Richard's genuine and nuanced portrayal, Jack O'Neill, a battle-hardened warrior bearing his own wounds and losses, became one of the most unforgettable characters in science fiction. Stargate SG-1 did more than only concentrate on action. In contrast to many other programs, it addressed difficult moral conundrums, human issues, and the significance of sacrifice. The program was able to strike the ideal mix between intellectual depth and amusement because to Richard's astute and deft handling of the part. The influence of Richard Dean Anderson extends beyond these two well-known performances. Other productions, such as Legend and Special MacGyver films, showcased his flexibility. He raised the standard for imaginative storytelling as a producer by helping to create memorable episodes. Richard continued to make an impression with Stargate SG-1, receiving praise at several science fiction gatherings and award shows, such as the Saturn Awards. Fans adored the show for a long time, and several of its episodes were praised as landmarks in the history of science fiction television. Following the success of his pivotal parts, Richard was honored with both official accolades and acknowledgement for his significant impact on popular culture. Few performers can claim to be among the most famous television characters of all time, as he did in his role as Angus MacGyver. Notably, he received the Golden Boot Award in 2017 in recognition of his noteworthy achievements to the television entertainment industry. Richard Dean Anderson may not have amassed a large collection of gilded statues, but his greatest contribution to viewers is the creation of ageless characters who inspire and communicate profound humanitarian ideals, in addition to providing amusement. Few people would have predicted that Richard Dean Anderson would leave his career at its height after decades of fame on television. For Richard, this choice marked a turning point in his quest for higher ideals rather than the conclusion of a journey. When MacGyver ended in 1992, it wasn't because of a drop in quality or popularity. Conversely, MacGyver continued to be a global sensation that viewers adored. But after playing Angus MacGyver for 7 years, Richard thought it was time to terminate the character's adventure. He wished to go with honor, maintaining the qualities of a hero characterized by wisdom and kindness rather than force. This choice demonstrated his appreciation for the fans who had accepted the persona, as well as his respect for himself. As Colonel Jack O'Neill in Stargate SG-1's 1997 premiere, Richard achieved yet another career high. However, he started to distance himself from the series for personal reasons during the 9th season. Y. Quinn Anaros Anderson, his daughter, was just a few years old at the time. Being a loving parent, Richard understood the value of spending time with his daughter while she was still developing. He said that having a child fundamentally changed his priorities, making the glamour of the limelight seem insignificant in contrast. Richard's choice to retire from acting was also greatly influenced by the demanding physical demands and unrelenting shooting schedules. His parts in Stargate SG-1 and MacGyver necessitated lengthy action scenes that often lasted for many hours. These physically demanding performances eventually led to ailments that made it harder and harder to continue with the same degree of dedication. Richard was also asked to be a consultant or play a cameo in the 2016 revival of MacGyver, but he chose not to participate. His justification was straightforward. He didn't think the reboot would preserve the essence of the original character. Richard was worried that his participation would give the impression to supporters that he supported measures with which he disagreed. This choice demonstrated his honesty and devotion to the fans who had stood by him over his career. For Richard Dean Anderson, leaving the acting profession marked the start of a new chapter rather than its conclusion. He made the decision to put his family, health, and inner serenity first. Even though he is no longer often seen on film, people still adore him for his contributions and way of life outside of the spotlight, in addition to his memorable parts. In addition to being a household name on television, Richard Dean Anderson is a real person who really loves his family. Although much of his personal life has been kept secret, it is the tale of a loving father and a soul looking for tranquility in the middle of Hollywood's glitter. During his youth and middle age, Richard had a number of love connections with celebrities, including German figure skater Katharina Witt, Cella Ward, Lara Flynn Boyle, and Terry Hatcher. But his romance with April A. Prose, which lasted from 1996 to 1998, attracted the greatest attention. In New York, Richard first met April via a mutual acquaintance, Michael Greenberg, who produced MacGyver and Stargate. Y. Quinn Anaros, the couple's daughter, was born on August 2nd, 1998, when Richard was 48 years old, during their joyful time together. Their relationship did not extend to marriage, even though they had a kid together. When questioned about formalizing their relationship in an interview conducted in March 1999, Richard said, "Perhaps later when Y is older, and if she wishes for it, we might marry for her sake, unless April and I decide otherwise before then." In addition to changing Richard's outlook on life, Y's presence was the main cause of his withdrawal from the spotlight. Richard once said that his most significant function in life was that of a parent. From Y's first steps to the little but significant turning points in her life, he didn't want to miss a second. She succeeded despite leading a busy life in Hollywood. Richard decided to go more slowly. In order to spend more time with his daughter and take delight in the little things in life, he relocated to a peaceful ranch in California. Short trips, warm family meals, and early morning nature hikes turned into treasured memories that he cherishes. Richard is a thoughtful, appreciative person, in addition to being a loving parent. He has remained close to his family, particularly his mother, Jocelyn Ray Carter, whom he considers to be his biggest source of inspiration for his paintings. Richard has always maintained his modesty and avoided the scandals that are often connected to the entertainment business, even though he has experienced the heights of celebrity. Richard finds comfort and the energy to live each day to the fullest in the tranquil life he has created with his family. Instead of pursuing fame and glitz, he prioritizes his family, health, and inner tranquility. Richard views his family as the greatest source of happiness as well as a source of inspiration. Richard sometimes takes part in fan conventions and events, where he reconnects with audiences and shares special moments and anecdotes from his career. These performances are not motivated by business goals. Rather, they are his means of thanking the supporters who have stood with him over the years. In addition to leaving a lasting impression on popular culture and audiences, Richard Dean Anderson has made a lasting impression with his memorable roles. His creations, which range from MacGyver to Stargate SG-1, go beyond mere amusement to convey powerful lessons about imagination, empathy, and the ability to bounce back from setbacks. Richard altered the idea of a hero with MacGyver, one who relies on cunning and inventiveness rather than on weaponry or brute force. Millions were enthralled by this presentation, which also created a distinctive figure whose influence extended beyond the screen. The word MacGyverism became widely used to describe creative problem-solving using basic tools. MacGyver's impact went much beyond television. The figure has been recognized by viewers of all ages, from young fans to engineers and scientists, for encouraging people to think creatively and unconventionally. Since MacGyver's method of problem-solving has endured, the program has become a staple of popular culture. Richard's reputation as a worldwide celebrity was further cemented by his portrayal of Colonel Jack O'Neill in Stargate SG-1. In addition to receiving a lot of praise, the series created a devoted following that has lasted for many years. The fact that Stargate SG-1 forums, fan clubs, and events are still going strong shows how popular the series and the character he created are. Richard Dean Anderson has been actively interested in charity initiatives in addition to his acting accomplishments. He is an ardent supporter of the Waterkeeper Alliance, an international organization devoted to preserving the environment and pure water. Richard has used his platform to promote action and increase awareness for a more sustainable society. Through his iconic roles, cultural achievements, and dedication to worthwhile causes, Richard Dean Anderson has left a lasting legacy that inspires future generations to value compassion, creativity, and ingenuity. His commitment goes beyond environmental issues and include more general charity endeavors where he has invested time in helping communities and promoting progress. Richard Dean Anderson has accumulated a substantial net worth over the course of many decades, with an estimated net worth of $30 million. The popularity of MacGyver and Stargate SG-1, together with commercial deals and television production positions, have contributed significantly to his riches. Richard has a number of expensive homes, chief among them a classic Malibu mansion that draws inspiration from his Minnesota heritage. In addition to housing him and his family, this expansive house on a piece of land with a view of the ocean is a monument to his simplicity and closeness to the natural world. His sophisticated taste and wise investments are evident in the residence, which is said to be worth $10 million. Apart from his residence in Malibu, Richard also has homes in Minnesota and Vancouver, Canada, as well as a condominium in Laguna Woods, California. His desire for a lifestyle that is in harmony with nature, a trait he has always valued, is shown by these assets, which also highlight his financial success. It is impossible to gauge Richard Dean Anderson's success based alone on his financial accomplishments and cinematic roles. His reworking of the television hero paradigm and his generational inspiration are his greatest legacies. From the muscular, funny Colonel Jack O'Neill to the smart, sympathetic Angus MacGyver, the characters he played have come to symbolize not just amusement, but also resiliency and optimism. Richard Dean Anderson went beyond fame to represent the ideal of an artist who is passionate about both his work and society via the principles he espoused in each role. Audiences will always be moved by his legacy as a representation of wisdom, moral character, and empathy. How do you feel about Richard Dean Anderson's inspirational journey? What impression has he made on you via his well-known roles or life story? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Follow our channel to learn more about other well-known people and the intriguing backstories of their life if you appreciate stories like this one. To make sure you don't miss any of our forthcoming interesting material, hit like and subscribe.